Hello and welcome to this session about taking your AI to the edge with .NET MAUI. My name is Gerald and I work here at Microsoft on the .NET team, specifically on the .NET MAUI team. And in this session, we're going to see what the current state of MAUI is in .NET 10, what we've been building, what to expect from .NET 11, but also how we as a team became so much more productive with the use of Copilot, how you can be more productive building your .NET MAUI apps with the tools that we are putting out there, and how you can deliver that value to your end customer. So let's dig in. For a quick reminder, quick refresher for the people who might be new seeing this, what is this .NET MAUI thing again? .NET MAUI stands for .NET Multi-Platform App UI, and that is our offering to build cross-platform amazing looking apps on iOS, Android, Windows, and macOS through C# and .NET. So we have single project, single code base. So you just have a single project to launch all of these, to reach all of these projects, all of these platforms, which is really, really amazing. It all maps to native controls and native styling on the platform, exactly as you would expect on the platform that you're running on. It feels and looks exactly as it's supposed to be on the operating system, on the device that you're running on. We have like all kinds of devices APIs you can reach with that unified C# and .NET layer. You can get the geolocation, you can get the flashlight, you can get the file system, all these kinds of things all built in, and lots and lots of controls already. So everything you need to build cross-platform apps that are useful for everyone. Then we also have something that is called Blazor Hybrid. And with that, you can take your existing Blazor offering, your existing Blazor application, put that in a Blazor Hybrid web view, and then package that as a mobile app and put that in the stores, have that little icon on the screen without having to lose or reinvent anything, because you can just take your existing Blazor app, or if you just have this one very specific Blazor control that you have that you've created and you want to reuse that in your .NET MAUI app, you can absolutely do that as well. The choice is yours. We have options for everyone. You can make your full app a hybrid application with Blazor. You can just have this little part of your application be a little Blazor hybrid application and the rest is fully native, and it will integrate seamlessly. You will not be able to tell the difference. And if you want to take it even a step further and you maybe have like a React Native, a Angular, or some other JavaScript application, we have something for that as well. We have the hybrid web view there too. So lots and lots of options for everyone depending on where you are in your development lifecycle, what you want to do there. So the .NET ecosystem has this rich choice for every developer, for every audience, right? If you want to go for reach, then you probably want to go with Blazor, like Blazor in the web browser. Everything that runs a web browser, you can take your Blazor app there. If you want to full power the native power on actual devices, then you probably want to stick with .NET MAUI, where you can do all of that, and you can kind of like come in between with Blazor and .NET MAUI together, which is a very, very powerful combination. And you can reach all of these things with your existing web development experience and whatever you have there. Also, customers love this. Customers love building with our product. We have had so many customer stories on our website. The link will be down below. And I just wanted to highlight this one, which is an amazing one. 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗶cie. They're based in the UK and they have these amazing pediatric physiotherapy devices to support kind of like their work with those pediatricians. And that is powered with a .NET MAUI companion application, which I personally love, that our tech, our stuff is used for stuff that actually, does something there out in the world. Of course, all your applications are amazing and doing something great out there in the world, but these things, like the little helper things for the medical space, I absolutely love those. So go check out the full customer story on our website. The link is down there below and will be in the video resources here. It is a really, really amazing. So I already said, like, hey, we have been, as a team, as the .NET team at Microsoft, specifically the .NET MAUI team, we have been changing the way we work drastically in the last couple of months. And it shows. It shows, right? We have incorporated Copilot and AI fully end-to-end in our software development lifecycle, right? So we now build with Copilot everywhere, not just code generation, on our devices to write code faster, more code for .NET MAUI, absolutely not, but also to reproduce the things that you might report on the GitHub repository, right? It's an open source project, so you can go there, you can report issues, and sometimes, it's hard to reproduce. We always encourage you to reproduce it yourself, but now we have a little helper that's called Copilot, and we can just say, hey, can you try and reproduce this thing that this customer is reporting, and see if we can work with that. Of course, also testing, right? If we have the reproduction thing, we can also test there. So not just running the test, we have thousands and thousands of UI tests on the .NET MAUI repository. So you can imagine those take a little while to run. Now we can be smarter with that. We can say to Copilot, hey, figure out for the change in this PR or this bug, what are the relevant UI tests, only run those and give us the results, right? And it will just take, well, it still takes a little bit of time, but at least we don't have to spend time on it to figure out which ones are the relevant ones here and wait for the results, etc., etc. We can all outsource that to Copilot. Fix, of course, like code generation. Whenever there's a bug, we can say, hey, assign to Copilot, and it will go off and do things. Review. We don't just code generate with it, but we also have MAUI aware reviewers. So if you know a little bit about the MAUI product, .NET MAUI is a super complex code base, right? We have all kinds of APIs that are not native to the .NET ecosystem, from iOS, from Android coming in. So we have lots of things to kind of like be aware of. So early on, we started writing our MAUI aware code reviewer, and that is in our pipelines as well. So that will look at a piece of code and know a little bit beyond kind of like the vanilla Copilot, if you will, that is built into GitHub. And it has a lot of MAUI expertise so that it can tell us like, hey, look out for this, look out for that, and that we have some confidence about the reviews that are going on here. Of course, like, we're still checking in, we're still the human in the loop, but this Copilot reviewer has been a lot of help. Same with verification and learning. Whenever something good or bad happens to a PR, we can point a Copilot custom agent to it and say, like, what can we learn from this PR? What happened here? And then we can take that learning into the next PR and make sure that something doesn't happen again. So we have been like fully end to end into the agentic engineering right here, all the way from like the things that are probably obvious, writing code, reviewing code, testing code. But why not take it a step further, right? Why not also, whenever we merge a PR, have a Copilot agentic workflow look at that and determine whether that needs a documentation update, yes or no? Would it need a blog post to highlight to people, right? It will figure that out for us. And not just that, it will also open an issue and even draft a PR for the documentation update and for that blog post. So super, super helpful. That allows us to go so much faster. And that shows up in the numbers. Again, we're an open source project, so we love to do things out in the open. All of this you can find on agenticengineers.net. Definitely go there. You can see per PR, on a PR basis, on the .NET MAUI repositories, but also, of course, our supporting products, Android and iOS, and then a bunch of tools there as well. Is code generated, is a PR authored by Copilot, or is the reviewer, the Copilot reviewer, used for this PR? And you can see kind of like we started picking up steam in November. That is, at least for me, kind of like the turning point, and I think for the rest of our team as well. November, December, January, February, March, April. April was like, our high point so far. And we have gone from 7% to 62% Copilot authored merged PRs in under a year, right? It's crazy. That allows us to bring value to you so much faster. All the bug fixes, all the new functionality that we didn't really get to before. Now we have the tools to kind of like go there, do that much, much faster, and produce all that extra value for you so that we have this amazing product. Go to that website. There is lots of more data there. And, if you have any questions there, we're also happy to chat always to share more about our learnings there, because .NET MAUI is the community, right? We have such a great community. I was part of that community. I'm still part of the community. I like to think, at least. And there is, besides the things that I've mentioned here, so much that we do in the community. We have, of course, our contributors over the years, which has been super, super great. Thank you so much from this place, not just in issues and PR, PRs, but also for the samples, the docs, and just the feedback that you give us, right? Through the online channels, but also in-person conferences. We are out there, me, David Ortnow, Stefan from our team, and now Jacob from our team, us out there on conferences, and we love your feedback. Please keep bringing that to us, the good and the bad, because that's how we help shape the product so that it is the product that you love to use. Also, every first Thursday of every month, we have the community stand-up online on YouTube on the .NET channel, so definitely go check that out, where we usually have a guest or we show off at least kind of like what happened in the community, cool links, cool projects, cool actual real-world applications, or some new thing that we built ourselves that we think that you should know about. So go check that out if you haven't done that already. Then the Maui days, we have dedicated Maui events, and that's really been taking off as well, together with the AI hype. I don't know if there's any correlation there, but it's happening. This has been running for years, since the Xamarin days, and now it's the Maui days, of course. In Cologne, we've done a whole bunch. We did 2 now in London, which has been really great. We have one coming up in Krakow, Poland, and then probably Cologne, and wherever you want to go, right? If you are someone who is like, I want a Maui day in my space, let's talk and we will figure something out. It is run completely by the community, but I'm definitely involved there as well, and always happy to be there as a speaker. So let's definitely meet there. And speaking of amazing community initiatives, the MAUIverse, like everything Maui, go to MAUIverse.net. There is a Discord server that you can join to talk to people on our team, but also other people in the community to help each other out, share cool things that you've been building, all these amazing cool things that are out there, tools, samples, libraries, blog posts. Everything is there. So definitely go check that out. And from here, I already did it a little bit. Thank you so much, contributors, for everything that you've been doing. In all shape or form, we really appreciate it. It is kind of like easy to forget in like the day-to-day business, but we do really appreciate all the time and the effort that you put into there. And especially with like the new tools in the Mauiverse, in the Discord server, it is so easy now to collaborate, more easier now than ever, which we definitely also do. So please keep doing that. Then we have, of course, like our partners, our component vendors, right? All of the friends that build on top of .NET MAUI with their own controls, with their own little ecosystem, with O tooling. So of course, go check those out if you have like a favorite from maybe another part of the ecosystem in .NET. These are the names that you want to check out if you want to have some pre-built, really amazing things. Speaking of which, the partners that we have really help where .NET MAUI can go. Because in the past couple of months, we have announced a couple of very cool collaborations with some of our partners, some of our friends. First of which is Syncfusion. Maybe you've heard about that already. We are working closely together with the Syncfusion team, and they have been helping out on the .NET MAUI code base directly with all kinds of things, code fixes, testing, across the suite, basically. But they also, as part of that, created a .NET MAUI toolkit, which is now at version 1.0.10 with 30 plus UI controls. I think some of them came from like the paid Syncfusion suite, now available to you for free. Definitely go check that out, which are built with high performance, with customization, with accessibility in mind. They will fit right into your .NET MAUI app. So definitely go check that out. And from this place, thank you so much, Syncfusion, for being a great partner throughout years at this point. So that's really great. And also they have been speeding up as well, right? They have seen there is a blog post from recently where they are sharing their numbers with how Copilot and AI has increased their velocity. So you can see like, hey, 50 to 70% time reduction, right, on the things that they are spending on trying to reproduce, trying to fix, trying to do all these things, so that they can get through 2 to 3 more times more issues every week, more PRs, and more first-time fix rate, right? So it's been amazing across the board. Basically, that is our message. Then we also have Uno, right? Uno has been partnering with us now on the Skia Sharp. Mostly like we've been partnering on some more things, but now a blog post came out for 𝗬𝗲𝗃𝗃, which is also maintained at Microsoft, but now Uno has stepped up and has invested in taking it to the next step. And I think with like the new major version update in a while now, so this has been really, really great. And thank you, Uno, for doing that and making this better for everyone. But it doesn't stop there. Oh, no, no, no. The .NET ecosystem, in the .NET ecosystem, we're all friends. So Avalonia also came up and said, hey, what if we can embed .NET MAUI applications in our Avalonia backend, and now we can bring MAUI to Linux and the browser, right? So Avalonia has been doing a great job there. We've been collaborating with them. They wrote a little blog post about how that went and what's coming and how to get started with this. So if this is something that is of interest to you, then definitely go check this out. Thank you so much, partners and friends, for working together and making .NET the best ecosystem there is. All right, so what did we do for .NET MAUI 10, right? We focused on a couple of things here: stable, fast, simple, and modern. That are kind of like the areas that we have been investing in, that we have been focused on for .NET 10, which has been released November 2025, right? The new major version of .NET. And these have been the area. So quality, right? Quality is super important for something like .NET MAUI. You want to make sure that whenever you upgrade that we do not break anything for you. So the quality has been top of mind for us and fixing more bugs than ever. Performance, right? We've continuously been focusing on performance, so that because mobile apps, like end users, are like the most critical users there are, right? If it doesn't start up fast enough, if it's like sluggish or whatever, they will see, they will know, they will let you know, right? So performance is always top of mind of us. We're always trying to figure out how to make that better. Simplicity, it should be simple to use these APIs so that you can implement new things. And modern, right? New Android versions, new iOS versions come out all the time. So we want to make sure that we are using the modern APIs so that you will see those show up in your MAUI apps automatically as well. Also, as part of that, we've done a big investment in XAML, right? So XAML, you know it probably if you've been working with .NET MAUI or any other UI framework at Microsoft. You can love it, you can hate it, but it is here to stay. And we have done some major improvements there, some major innovations to make it easier to work with that. So we have introduced global namespaces so that you can reduce or completely eliminate the XML declarations in your project. We'll see that on the next slide in a little bit. Implicit namespace is in preview right now in .NET 10. If you've seen this announcement at .NET Conf in November, then it said, hey, the language service and the editor support is coming. We have support now by this time. So if you want to work with the implicit namespace, go check it out. And it should have support now in the editor. Make sure, of course, that if you have any feedback, to report it back to us. And source generation is really, really amazing, where all the XAML is taken and through Roslyn is source generated into actual C# source, right? Which has great performance benefits, but also makes it so much easier to do other cool stuff. So definitely go check that out. For now, opt in into .NET 10, but it will be the default in .NET 11. So make sure to test it right now on your project. Let us know the feedback so that we can make sure that it's rock solid whenever we hit .NET 11. So without global XML and S, right, this is even still like a small XAML document, right? But if you enable global XML and S, then you can just take all of this out, right? It will become so much less verbose. So this is something, if you ask me, really, really great, so that we can get rid of some XAML boilerplate code that we don't really want to see anyway. XAML source generation, I already mentioned it. So it's an opt-in feature right now. It will have faster debug and release performance just out of the box, just by flipping one bit, and you don't have to worry about anything. And these numbers are even old, right? So the way that you're using probably right now is XAML-C, XAML compilation, which compiles it to intermediate language. A little bit of a technical story, but now with XAML source generation, it will be generated to C# code that you can actually read and actually can debug with. These results, like these numbers, are not inflated, haha, pun intended. 1000% faster inflation, 99% less debug memory, faster on release, less app memory, and you will have the biggest gain in your debug builds, right? They tend to be a little bit sluggish, especially if you do it like on Android and have like a collection view or whatever. It will be like jittery and whatnot. And then you do a release build and you're like, oh, actually my performance issues are not that bad. That is what is going to be fixed by this. And the other kind of like thing that you probably notice is that we would have differences in debug builds, in release builds, where things would get trimmed or whatever. That is going away entirely, right? So whenever you release something to production, you can be safe and assured that it's the same version as the debug version and nothing suddenly breaks at runtime because APIs have been taken out in the optimization process, right? So all good things to go around right here. Enabling right now today is super easy. Just have this one bit, set MAUI XAML inflator to source gen, flip that bit, and then optionally, if you want to inspect the actual code that is generated, you can do the emit compiler generated files to true, and you will get all the details in your favorite IDE, in this case, VS Code, and you can see what is going on, what is generated, debug through there, do all the things. Here you have a little overview of like what that looks like. On the left, you can see XAML-C, and we're doing the same operations at the same time. And you can see XAML-C is taking longer than with SourceGen because SourceGen is flying all over, hitting all those navigation paths and doing it much, much faster. On a Pixel 5 with Android 14. Another big focus area for us was the save areas, right? iOS, I think, was first with like the notch or the dynamic island, all these things, and then at the bottom with the swiping gestures. So you have little areas that you can't really use, but your designers would really like you to use them because it just looks so much nicer if something goes under there and whatever. And then Android, the devices also were there with like little camera holes and also kind of like the little islands or whatnot. So there's lots of variations there right now. So it was time for us to have a unified API rethought where we can handle all of these scenarios better, right? So this is kind of like the thing that I was talking about, kind of like the status bar, I would say roughly, and then down there with I don't know how to call that area, but swiping from the bottom. Those are the areas that are kind of like problematic. It doesn't look great if you have like white or black boxes right there, but also you can't really put any interactions in there. If there's a button behind the dynamic island, that's not great too. All kinds of problems, right? Welcome to the world of cross-platform mobile development. So it was about time to introduce a unified great API that will fix all this for you. Introducing the save area edges, right? And you can set those to none, soft input. You can set those to a couple of different values right here to steer that behavior so that you can make it go under, make it go not under, that it will reserve that space. And you can set that on any content page or any layout that you have so that you can set per kind of like layout or whatever, if that should go over, under, or how that should behave in your application. And so you can achieve all the great looking designs from your app or the designer that you are working with. Works on Android and iOS because those are the devices that kind of like have these APIs and these form factors right now. If something else will come up, we will of course provide the implementation for that as well. How to do that? So here we have kind of like the default, and it's a little bit hard to see maybe, but there at the bottom of the screenshot you can see the little gray bar down there, which is kind of like, hey, grid save area edges none, scroll view save area edges none, and the content page too. See, and you can see the little area there that doesn't really look great. But now with the new APIs setting the save area edges to none, you can go under there, and whenever you then apply kind of like the liquid glass, for example, on iOS, it will go nicely under there, and it will show up nicely in your application. Doesn't it look beautiful? I think it looks beautiful. And here another example on Android where we kind of like have the top space, right? You can see the top space right there on the left screenshot with the default behavior, not so great looking white bar there at the top, but now with the new API save area edges to none, we can just draw under there with, but preserving the buttons down there from the navigation bar, so you can still tap on them, and they are still reachable from your layout as well. So all kinds of good things. Android Material 3. While we're on Android anyway, work is on the way to implement Material 3. The first controls are already added in .NET MAUI 10 through service releases. So we released the first major initial version of .NET MAUI 10 in November. But since then, roughly every month, we are doing service releases with new fixes, new features where we can, right? We're not going to break you in any way. especially whenever API changes. But these Material 3, we can do an opt-in, again, like one simple line in your CS proj, use Material 3, and boom, your Android application will be updated to the Material 3 design where we can, right? We have going through the controls where we can update them. So this is going on through the service releases, but there are some bigger changes for some bigger layouts or whatnot going on as well, and those will be added to .NET 11. So probably by the time .NET 11 comes, that is where you will have the full Material 3 experience. But I would definitely highly encourage you to try it out today. And again, let us know the feedback so that we can make sure that it's rock solid whenever we hit November and you can start using it in day one. Service releases, I just mentioned it. So service release 6 has been our biggest service release yet. It has been 242 commits in one service release. And service release 7 just kept that momentum going, right? We just have more fixes, AI-assisted fixes, with tests, with reviews helping us to gush so much faster. Quality, right? Collection view, carousel view handler fixes, shell polish, accessibility test coverage, right? We are adding things across the board. Modern APIs, I didn't even mention those. The media picker, speaking of like modernization, we were a little bit behind there with iOS, with Android. There are new cool APIs there to do new things with picking videos, picking images. Now we have updated that in .NET MAUI 10, and we're improving upon that every service release. And then, of course, safe areas and Material 3 enablement. The hybrid scenarios that I mentioned a little bit earlier, there are cool new things in there as well for JavaScript interop, sending messages through the bridge, right, from JavaScript to C# and back. Of course, tooling, right? We have cool new tooling things coming up as well. For Android, already .NET Run support. I'll get back to that in a little bit as well. Design time build speedups, better VS and VS Code loops. And if you've not seen our kind of like live property inspector and live XAML preview in Visual Studio, definitely go check that out because it's really, really amazing. You can just launch your app through hot reload, through XAML live preview. You never have to stop your application. You can just start building, and everything will show up in real time. The XAML investments that I've just shown you, and of course the platform improvements for Android, but also for iOS, are continuously on our radar. And of course, like again, this is all AI assistant engineering, which helps us take it from end to end, reproduce, fix, test, write docs, do all the things there. Hopefully, you have noticed and that we have really picked up the steam, if you ask me, by delivering great MAUI versions one after another. So then, what is next? What comes after this? .NET 11, the next wave for .NET MAUI. Well, this is a big one, and we tweeted this out. I sent this out, and it's like one of those not very glamorous things that are very visible, but CoreCLR becomes the default runtime. So that means we until now, on iOS and Android, and macOS, we were still running on the mono runtime, right? And a couple of people, whenever we sent this out on the socials, were like, "Oh, I thought mono was already gone." So I like to think that is because of how great of a job we did, so that you didn't even notice. But now we will actually move to Core CLR with iOS, with Android, with Macatalyst, also for .NET MAUI, and of course the other platforms that I just mentioned, if you use those directly, so that we have one runtime, one actual runtime for all these things, together with ASP.NET, with Azure services, with other .NET workloads, so that we will automatically kind of like get the performance upgrades that .NET gets. You can start using the diagnostics tools that are out there. .NET Trace, .NET Counters are right now. If you have not been looking into profiling your apps, this is a great time to start doing so. And other tools are being considered as well. So make sure, let us know, again, feedback early on. What is important to you, what you're seeing, what is working, what's not working, so that we can fix that, polish that up before .NET 11 goes GA in November, and you will have the best experience from day one. So that's going to be great. If for whatever reason something does happen, you can very easily opt out with a one-liner, but we expect this to be a very smooth transition, and you will get only benefits. There is, at this point in time, but again, it's still previews, a little bigger. I think your app size will increase by only a little bit, but you will get other things in return. So it's kind of like a little balance there. And we will work, of course, on this implementation, if you will, to make it even more optimized for you. I already mentioned it a little bit, the .NET Run support. So no more .NET build/t run -f net 10.0 Android, iOS, whatever. Just do .NET Run. Boom, that's it. We have interactive prompts right here to kind of like select the target framework. If you just do .NET Run, there are options to specify the target framework immediately, of course. But if you just do .NET Run and don't specify anything, it will ask you like, hey, do you want to run Android or iOS, or what do you want to do? And on which device, right? You can see like, hey, the little menu coming up. You can switch between the emulators, all the iOS simulators. Pick one, and it will start it up for you. And this is what you probably will see a lot more also in my slides after this, and also in the .NET ecosystem, or also in the world as a whole, that you will get more CLI tools, because CLI tools are super easy to invoke by Copilot, and they're also super easy to kind of like parse the output from, again, by Copilot. So this is very agent friendly, and I know there's a lot of terminal fans out there as well. So, if that's something that you like, then you can just use this as the human pilot, but also it will be much more efficient to use with the Copilot, right? So in line with this, we also have .NET Watch support. And there you can have hot reload in a terminal implementation here as well. So if you remember .NET Watch from other .NET workloads, you can now just do .NET Watch. It will start up on your Android emulator, on your iOS simulator, and whenever you start making changes in the code here in the background, that will be picked up automatically in your running application, in the running debug session, and you can see the results right away and start working with those again, which is also really great whenever Copilot wants to kind of like verify things that it's working on without having to stop and rebuild your entire application. So lots of cool things here from the tooling side. But what are we doing also inside of the box for .NET MAUI? Well, we are putting more pins on the map for .NET MAUI 11, right? So we have this maps control that is implemented in .NET MAUI, and as .NET MAUI does, we translate everything to what it's supposed to look like, what's supposed to work on iOS, Android, Windows, Mac OS, whatever the platform is that you're running on, right? So here you can see the iOS device that is using Apple Maps, and this also works on Android. And we now added pin clustering, right? We have a map control that you can just put in there. XAML map on Android, it will be Google Maps. On iOS, it will be Apple Maps. And it was like basic functionality was there, but we were missing some things, and now we were finally able to add it. So we have pin clustering, right? So you can cluster a bunch of pins. You can see the little number 7 there in the middle. Those are 7 pins, the Copilot lab, and 6 more. So if you would zoom in, those would kind of like expand. You will see all the 7 pins right there. If you zoom out, you can group them together. You can steer the grouping behavior. You can say, hey, this is part of a group with a name, and it will only group those together. Custom pins also, right now you had to do custom handlers, which was, it's easy to do in .NET MAUI, but if you don't have to, that's great. So custom pins is now just you specify a image source, and boom, you have a custom pin. You can see it down there with little call out sign right there with Microsoft Commons. That is a custom pin that has been implemented through this new API. Richer interactions, you can do a map long press. You can click on map elements, so you can see the little polylines there, the circle and the whatever that shape is. You can click on those and actually execute some code depending on that click. And then, of course, the clusters, you can also tap on those. More controls, those same elements that I just mentioned, you can make them visible, yes or no. You can play with the Z index, so you can put them on top of each other and change the order. And for Android specifically, you have the little styling JSONs that you can now just customize that styling from your Android map. Then other ways that .NET MAUI is going to be more amazing. The first previews are out right now. So again, I would love to encourage you to test those out. Let us know the feedback so that we can fix the bugs that are in there right now so that your transition will be smooth. But here is a couple of other things that are coming that are in preview right now. Less XAML ceremony, I already talked about that. Source generation by default, implicit namespaces by default, better compiled bindings diagnostics, right? Those are always a little bit harder to track as well. Diagnostics are going to be better. Xcode support, which means writing code in your XAML. Some people have requested that for a long, long time, so definitely go check that out as well. Built-in long press gesture recognizer. We now have badges on shell tabs, so on your kind of like your tab pages, you can have little badge values, just like the push notifications on the app icons on the home screen. Same thing for the toolbar item, and more implementation of more cool things. Android themed icons, whenever you have the home screen set to kind of like a monochrome styling, that can be done with your .NET MAUI app right now. More permissions, trimmable CSS so that it will have less, your app size will go down whenever something can be trimmed off, and lots of cool other things. Now, lastly, putting the AI in MAUI. There is a lot going on in the world right now. So also, of course, in the MAUI world that has to do with AI, but MAUI has always been 50% AI, right? The letters are right there. So, we were ahead of the game, I would like to think. And together with that, we came up with a new um, initiative here, which is Maui Labs, because things are going faster than ever, right? And to keep up with that, we needed a vehicle to kind of like release things faster as well, with experiments. So not everything might stick, most of it might, some others might not. But this is a place where we are trying to come up with some cool new things. And of course, you're welcome to join in and try it out, but also give us ideas or collaborate on them. One of the things is DevFlow. I'll get to that in a little bit, which is your companion to make Copilot see your application and verify itself, which will make it so much more effective while working with it. The Essentials.ai, where you can, again, following the paradigm of .NET MAUI, you can use the on-device AI services, Apple Intelligence, Gemini on Android, Silica-Phi, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, on Windows, so you can use those there, and of course local models and also remote models. So this is a great library that you will want to have whenever you want to incorporate AI in your application for your end user. Then AI extensions, we're also looking into ways to innovate the way that people navigate through the app. If you look at mobile apps right now, or just apps in general, those apps are like very reactive, right? You have to click on to do an actual action, while it makes much more sense to do it by intent. And now with the LLMs, it is so much easier to kind of like detect that intent and say, hey, I want to do this thing, and the app will figure out how to get there. And you don't have to click a button and then find the other menu and then click that button. The app will know what you want to do. It knows the application and it will take you there. That is the AI extensions. I'll have a little bit of a demo at the end right there as well. And we go to more places. Now, with the power of Copilot, we have the possibility to, do things that we didn't really have the time or the priority before. So we have added backends for Linux. Yes, I can hear the world rejoice. A backend for Linux, that you can take your .NET MAUI apps also to Linux natively running on wherever GTK4 runs, macOS, so not the Mac Catalyst one, but actual AppKit, macOS, and WPF, and maybe more to come, right? So we're adding more backends. Go check those out as well. So if we go back and zoom in on the DevFlow here a little bit, go to that link down there at the bottom, aka.ms/Maui DevFlow, and go check it out, which has a couple of things, right? It uses the new .NET MAUI CLI. We've created a CLI tool. Yes, I already mentioned it. You will see that come a lot. And that has a DevFlow section in there as well, but it can do much, much more things. It can check your environment. It can see if your emulators are there. The Android SDK is set up. Xcode is installed the right way, but it can also steer DevFlow. And with that, it can connect to a little agent application that is inside of your MAUI app. Of course, only at debug time, right? We're not going to release to production with that. But while in debug, you can inject a little HTTP server inside of your application that can connect to the DevFlow agent, to the CLI, and you can inspect everything from inside of your app. You can get the visual tree, so that your agent or you has all the information about the visual tree that's currently on the screen. Take a screenshot, get sensor values, interact with like the buttons, the elements that are on there, so that you can programmatically go through your application, which is, again, a very useful tool for you, but also a very useful tool for Copilot whenever you tell it to build an app, verify all the edge cases, come up with test scenarios, and say, hey, run through this thing autonomously, and it will. it now knows how to do that. Of course, that is also wrapped in an MCP server, and that in turn will then also power the .NET MAUI VS Code extension that can use all of these tools and combine it with other tools that were already built in to make this agentic engineering experience for your .NET MAUI apps, I would say, the best in class, right? So go check that out definitely, because this is going to be a game changer. Here you have a little demo. Right on the left, we can see a Copilot CLI session going on that said like, hey, I want to build this to-do app right here. And it's a little bit sped up, but it goes through the to-do app right here. And I think actually the app that you're looking at right here is a Blazor hybrid app. It works for that as well. It knows how to interact. Like you can see the mouse moving, but it's not actually interacting with the iOS simulator that's going on right here. This is all done by the Copilot CLI. You can see a couple of tests have passed, right? It goes through it, it interacts with the dialogues itself, it figure out where to click, what to do, what to test, what the results should be, right? All autonomously. It's been really great. Then we have Essentials.ai. So you probably already know Microsoft.extensions.ai. Now we also have Microsoft.maui.essentials.ai. Lots of AI there, which kind of like builds on top Microsoft.extensions.ai. So that is already like your unified library, your unified API to work with whatever AI model, wherever it lives, local, remote. You don't have to change any code, just plug it in and it will work. Now with Essentials.ai, we're also building on top of that and adding Apple Intelligence, Gemini Nano, and Windows Copilot runtime through 𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗀, right? So you have all those models, all those local machine AI providers that are coming from all these vendors right here. You can now just as easily use those through the Essentials.ai, and of course any other things that you want to do on your mobile devices or all the platforms that you can reach through .NET MAUI as well. So we have built that. Go check that one out as well and deliver that value to your end users and make your applications AI enabled with the least amount of effort, right? So the way that works is kind of like, hey, you have this iChat client, embedding generator, just easily switch between the cloud, so Azure OpenAI, Foundry, all those kinds of things, or on one of the other providers out there, one of the AI models out there. Here you have like the local or on device, of course, like Onyx is a great one there that you can use on your devices as well. And we now have also the platform native ones, Apple Intelligence, Gemini Nano, and Windows Copilot runtime with like zero config, OS managed, very tight integration with the rest of the ecosystem. So you can just use that in your applications. Now, this is going to be like, this is a big slide with lots of things on it, just for reference to kind of like see where the different platforms are with the support of different things. So you can see like Apple pretty much has everything, right? Single turn chat, multi-turn conversation, system prompts, all these kind of things. Android missing one or two, Windows missing one or two, and then the features down there at the bottom. I'm sure that everything, all the vendors will probably implement all of this at some point. But right now, this is again cross-platform development for you. There are some things that might be missing on one platform that are working on the other one. So take that into account whenever you're building your cross-platform applications. Now, here's one amazing app, the Barista Notes app by David Ortnow, which tracks his espresso shots and gives AI-powered advice, which is using a Microsoft Extensions AI and the Essentials.ai that you've just seen, basically. So here you can see, again, also that intent kind of like navigation. It's listening. It will transcribe what it's hearing. How many cups of coffee do I need to make for the people in this room? And the application automatically knows to bring up the camera because, we need to determine somehow how many people there are in the room, takes a picture, and then from that sends that back to the device. It will count the number of people on there and it will give back the result with, hey, this is how many cups of coffee you need to make for all the people in the room here, which is apparently 18 here for this picture. All right, thank you so much. And you can chat, you can go back and forth, in this case with voice, that really intent incorporated thing right here, so that it knows how to go to a certain thing, which is enabled with that AI extensions that I mentioned earlier, right? So you can just put that little attribute on there and say, hey, this is an AI tool called Logshot. In this case, it was a little bit of a different use case than we've just seen. And it knows for this C# method that now it can go there and it can reach it with AI and actually log a shot. So if we would say like, hey, I want to log this coffee shot, then it now knows to go through this method in C# and actually invoke that code and do it. And AI can determine that all by yourself inside of your application. Now, the one thing before I will leave you to the rest of build is MAUI Sherpa, which is an amazing tool that brings a lot of this together. So you can see that same barista notes application. You can see the visual tree being inspected right here, just like you would expect from like the maybe browser developer tools. On the right, you can see a live property inspector, right? So you can play around with the properties that will then live update in your .NET MAUI application, inspect the network traffic right here, profiling, logs, all the things that you would want to see about your .NET MAUI application here in one place with MAUI Sherpa. And it does not stop there. It doesn't only work for MAUI. It probably does for this stuff. Maybe it also does it for the other platforms. I'm not entirely sure while talking about this, but I know for sure what it does is also your certificate managers for iOS and all those kinds of things for releasing, inspecting your whole kind of like device setup and the developer setup on your device for all kinds of ecosystem, right? So go check out this tool for the best .NET MAUI development experience, basically. Go check out the link, go download the tool. And actually, this is also then built with .NET MAUI itself, with the experimental backends, because this uses a beautiful macOS AppKit UI. It runs on Linux through the Linux platforms that we've added in the MAUI labs. So it's kind of like full circle. This has everything you need with MAUI, by MAUI, through MAUI, MAUI everywhere. So as a little reminder, the release schedule is a little bit different than what you might be used to from other .NET projects or .NET in general. .NET MAUI, basically what you remember is every .NET MAUI version, every major .NET MAUI version has support for 18 months period. And then whenever a new major version comes out, which is 12 months apart, then you have 6 months until the last major version goes out of support, right? Just because we have third-party tools, third-party SDKs that we're building on top of, so we have a little bit of a different release schedule going on right here. But of course, in November 2026, .NET 11 will come out with all of the goodies that we've seen in this session right here. So with that, build with agents, ship AI on device, native apps everywhere with .NET MAUI. Thank you so much for joining, and enjoy the rest of build.